Hey friends! Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community that is all about doing the inner work to live an aligned and, dare I say, happy life. I'm your host, spiritual guide and intuitive, Angel Kelly, and I'm here to share my teachings along with messages passed on to me from higher consciousness. I've also got incredible guests in store to help you go down all those spiritual rabbit holes. So let's go! Welcome to the club! Hi, Spirit Club, and welcome to a guest episode. Today we have a friend of mine, Dr. Lexi Stiles. Lexi is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor and has managed to blend all of her favorite modalities, TCM, acupuncture, sound healing, subconscious work, food as medicine, to help her clients to heal holistically. So Lexi and I, we met a million years ago, or 13. While working at a restaurant, shout out Fergus and Vic's, and our paths have evolved quite a bit in those 13 years. So welcome, Lexi.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Naming your modalities, I was like, oh, this sounds so good. You know, when you're just like,
Oh.
I want all those things in my life. Yeah.
Just a quick hop across the pond and you can come get them.
Just a little trip away. And on that note, why don't you tell everyone where you are recording from, where you live?
I live in Nosara, Costa Rica. So it's a small town, about 2.5 hours southwest of Liberia, which is kind of a bigger city. It's just a little coastal beach town. It's one of the, I would say, like spiritual hubs of the world in terms of yogic practices and meditation and breathwork trainings and plant medicine ceremonies. And so it's a real hub for wellness, holistic wellness. Yeah, it's a pretty special place.
It is a very special place. We got to go, Shane and I went in 2023, and we got to spend time with Lexi and her husband. And yeah, we were blown away with like there were so many rituals you could take part in. There was a lot. So I can see why you would really like be able to develop in all the ways that your heart calls, because it's very encouraged, accepted.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There's this vortex of energy here. And they say that it's because historically Costa Rica hasn't been a part of any war, civil or otherwise. So it's a very innately peaceful country. And they say that the land holds a lot of peace because of that. There's not a lot of strife. There's not a lot of resentment or bloodshed or anything like that. So it's innately this peaceful place. But then I feel like at that same time, it allows Mother Nature to really come online, and she is like so potent and so strong here, which is amazing, but she'll also like put you through the paces.
She'll
And so
show
it's
you a
almost
thing
like a
or two.
exactly. So all of these things that are popping up, whether it's like you said, ceremonies or circles or healing modalities, it's almost like this. We've got to compensate for how activating the energy is here.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I can
It's
kind of
very
remember
transformative.
connecting to the land when I was there and just feeling the support of it. And now you're making me think about here and what the land has to say. Anyway, that's for another time. But what I want to ask, just as like a starter, because it helps me to geek out, and that is, do you know your sun, moon, and rising signs?
Yes, Taurus, Sun, Cancer, Rising, Sag, Moon.
Ah, yes, we have so much, you and I. Taurus sun,
Really?
Cancer rising, yes.
I didn't. Okay, I knew you collect Tauruses, right? That's like
I
your
collect
thing.
Cancers.
You collect Cancers, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
collected my husband.
I know, but you're a Cancer rising, which is very
Yes.
Cancer. Cancer rising.
Yeah.
I see you, Cancer rising.
Hmm.
Sag moon. Okay. Wow, that's a beautiful blend. And also
It
speaks to
is,
your,
but
go ahead.
it
Go ahead.
feels like a lot of different things at once. Like it
Mm.
feels like I'm just this, my whole life feels kind of like a paradox or like a contradiction.
Because you've got
Like
the
this,
water and the earth and the fire?
Yes.
Hmm. Which one do you feel most at home in?
I would say probably Taurus, but that's also my south node, so it's kind of like where I came from,
Mm-hmm,
not where
mm-hmm.
I'm meant to be. But it's comfortable in like a stagnant way,
I see.
almost. Um, I'm learning to be very comfortable with Cancer rising. I've always known that I was sensitive, but I think there was still a lot of shame around it, and it was kind of even when the sensitivity was recognized, it wasn't appreciated or valued. It was like, oh, we need to like cater to it in an inconvenient way almost, instead of like, wow, what a gift, let's honor this. But it was
Mm-hmm.
still, and it kind of it showed up in family dynamics or friend dynamics where it was like, well, we know you're the sensitive one. We know that you're the one that reacts to foods, or we know that you're the one that needs to go to bed early. So the shadow side of the sensitivity was very present, and it's been a very recent reclamation of the really the gifted parts of Cancer and feeling and expressing and letting the entire spectrum of emotions be okay.
Ah, I was gonna ask. I was like, in what way are you
Mhm.
really like honoring the light side?
Yeah, I would say leaning into the entire spectrum of feeling everything. And part of being so open and so sensitive is deeply empathically feeling everything, whether
Mhm.
it's in my immediate circle, whether it's what's happening in the greater collective, whether it's what's happening across the world, and being okay with like waking up one morning and being in tears for an hour and not trying to fix the sadness, not trying to fix the
Mm-hmm.
grief, but holding space for it. And then inevitably, it always transforms into something a little bit lighter and a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
pleasant. But it's so interesting as a society how much we just crave comfort and how afraid we are to be uncomfortable or in pain or in quote unquote negative emotion. And it's just denying the basic laws of reality. Like there's basically four fundamental laws of the universe and explained by the yin and the yang, and they can't exist without each other. And we
Mm-hmm.
hear that all of the time, but then you start to live it and it's like, oh, it literally can't. Like there would be no daylight unless the sun set at night. And we wouldn't know what a clear blue sky was unless we knew what rain clouds were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So leaning into the full acceptance and appreciation of it because it's like, okay, this is a phase. This is a stormy cloud and it'll clear and then I will have so much more appreciation for what's on the other side.
I love everything you said, and I feel that I experienced it recently myself in that my cousin passed away back home,
Mm,
and
sorry.
thank you, and I felt sad about it, of course. And I now have a life where I have the space to fully feel that feeling. And so I mourned him. I just went inward. I felt sad. I grieved. I just like let those things be felt and let my day shift so that I could be with those feelings. Whereas my former life, I'd be like, and I'm sad, and I have a lot to do. Goodbye, sad
Mhm,
feelings, whatever it is.
mhm,
And it was really interesting watching how others were uncomfortable with that. And I'm no judgment. I probably would have said or done the same thing. You know, I talked with my mother, and the first thing she said was, "What can we do about your sad feelings?" And I said, "Oh, nothing. Like, I think it is very normal that I feel sad that my cousin passed away, and
mhm.
it's okay. And I'll feel them." And as you said, it's really interesting how when you fully experience the emotion, it's like it felt very complete
Yeah.
after I moved through that. Um, Rather than like something that I'm like scarily pushing down, trying to not look at, feel, and to distract myself from. So
Mhm.
thank you for putting words to that because,
Yeah.
yes.
And good for you for leaning into that. I mean, I think the epidemic of mental and physical health that we're facing is largely in part of not being able to express for years and years and decades of people denying their true feelings, pushing their true feelings down. And I think we're just kind of just starting to open this can of worms of what it looks like and what it feels like to actually feel and process things as they
Yeah.
come up.
And honestly, like there's such a fear to feel more
Hmm.
difficult, the difficult end of the spectrum. And I've really like been digging into that because I see it in my clients. There's like this fear of like, oh no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to feel those feelings. And it's had me wonder, are you ever really feeling them? Because if you were really feeling them, you would find that they're not so scary. Like you won't die if you feel
Exactly.
them.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
the resistance, the like pushing away,
Yep.
that is actually what's creating the fear.
Yeah. And it's fueling the fire of the emotion so that the
Mm.
the processing through it actually does get so much bigger because there has been so much resistance. But if you like physiologically, it takes 90 seconds for an emotion to run through the body. So we're
Fascinating.
not always equipped in the moment to like something happens in the grocery store. I can't like necessarily burst into tears in the aisle for 90 seconds. I mean, I could, but
Mhm.
it's not quite it's not quite as accepted as it should be yet. But in the moment, if we were able to just react and feel like it would 90 seconds would move through and then it would be gone. But we push it down and then we attach stories to it and then we attach conditions to it and it becomes this thing that is so much bigger than it ever was.
Mhm. Yes, I didn't know that about 90 seconds.
Hmm.
Fascinating. Mm.
Yeah. And that's
Keep
not to
that in my
say
little
like
pocket.
you only feel fear once. It's like anytime you feel a sadness or anytime you feel a fear, like each
Of course.
isolated incident is a 90-second thing. Um, but it gives a lot of licensing to just allow those feelings throughout the day. And it you I kind of people might think that you're going to be on this massive roller coaster, but it's not. It becomes a lot more of a peaceful wave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The massive roller coaster comes from not accepting, like from pushing down, from putting aside,
Hmm.
from resisting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Mm.
African cultures in when they are grieving or mourning a death, they dance in a way of shaking their body and screaming and yelling and pounding their chest because a lot of grief gets held in the chest and the lungs. And so they understand this idea of emotions being so deeply embedded in the body and they understand the importance of metabolizing them and letting them move through. So at quote unquote funerals, they have these big circles where they're allowed to like express and scream and cry. And their rates of depression and their fear of death and all that is so much lower. Like they don't fear death in the same way that Western cultures do. They kind of honor it. They see it as this like rite of passage or this transformation and this very beautiful thing instead of this scary, stoic, don't talk about it, don't feel it, we all are
Mm-hmm.
dreading it kind of
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Inspiring. That's really inspiring.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hi, friends. Just a quick interruption to let you know that enrollment for Within, a one on one mentorship with me, is open. Within is an 11-week customized to you private mentorship where we do the inner work so that you can align with your soul's path and purpose. I truly believe that our external world is a reflection of our internal world. And so if you are feeling stuck, frustrated, lost, and know that you are meant for more in this life, Within is for you. Sessions each week are a blend of intuitive coaching, healing, guided meditation, and or subconscious reprogramming. And you know there are lots of practical exercises too. We start the last week of September and I'm only accepting a small handful of clients. So if you're interested, drop your name in the link in the show notes and I'll send you the details. And guys, I know private mentorship these days can be wildly expensive. So I just want to let you know up front that Within is roughly the cost of 11 angel readings. Nothing crazy and you're welcome to pay monthly. Hope to see you in there. So I'm guessing that this shows up in your work with clients.
Yes,
You,
you are right.
I'm going to guess that most of your clients are coming to you with a physical health challenge, ailment, struggle. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yes.
And are you often addressing this level of things, the emotional level, and even beyond into the mental and the spiritual?
Absolutely. I mean, in Chinese medicine, they're completely inseparable. Physical disease is just as much caused by as it causes mental and emotional dis-ease. And so there's really no, sometimes we can trace it back to what we think might be the root cause and it's a physical something or an emotional something, but we carry 7 generations of genetics. So it's kind of hard to always trace back. And so there's really no separating the two. And you're exactly right. People often come with a physical ailment or issue, and here it's a little bit different, but in the first few years of my practice, it would be like, so how are your stress levels and how are your emotions? Oh, they're fine. Oh, they're good. No, I'm not stressed. Like, I'm good. I'm good. Especially women. And I would get into the body and I would feel, and I have a really unique communication system with the body where like it essentially speaks to me. Sometimes I'll feel it in my physical body, but more often than not, it's just a knowing of like, okay, when you were this years old, this happened and it's now stored in like the top lobe of your left lung, that kind of thing. And so the body never lies. And I will immediately feel these things. And I can't just say, like, well, there's a grief here. Like, you kind of have to ease people
Yes.
into it. But it's so interesting how quickly and the default is a denial, and I'm fine, I have it all together. And it
Mm.
usually takes like 2 or 3 sessions and we start to dig in, and then before you know it, there's like these massive releases and huge liberation of all of this energy and all of this emotion that's been there for maybe their entire lifetime and maybe several generations back that they actually weren't even aware of.
Mm.
So it's really interesting, and like they're not lying when they say they're fine. It's below the level of conscious awareness. It's in the subconscious, but it's so removed from the reality that they're existing in that people think that they're okay, which is it's a beautiful way to live, but at the same time it's like this denial of self. It's this denial of truth where they haven't actually created the space to open into what's under the surface.
To be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
And so, would you say that, these traumas, micro traumas, whatever they are, they're experienced, they're not felt, and then they go into the body and then they create a problem in the body? That's a real high level summation of what's going on?
Yeah, no, that's
Mm.
that's like a perfect top level. Um, in Chinese medicine, we break it down a little bit further where different emotions will tend to have specific effects on different organs. So, like grief and sadness will affect the lungs, anger and frustration and bitterness will affect the liver and gallbladder,
Mm.
anxiety or hyper elevated states, even like a hyper or a pathological level of like joy, like if you think like mania, that will affect the heart and the small intestine. And fear will affect the kidneys and the bladder. And then constant worrying, overthinking, mulling in the mind, that will affect what we call the spleen and stomach, which are kind of like the digestive organs.
Oh, that is so fascinating. I'm like, I need to write
Mhm.
all of that down. Which one did you say was the gut?
Worry and overthinking, but also grief. So grief comes into the lungs. So we inspire grief into the lungs, and then we're meant to expire it through the large intestine, but it usually gets lodged somewhere between the lung and large intestine. And so most like IBS or IBD or constipation, that's usually inability to process and release grief and sadness.
Interesting. And so, how are you
Mhm.
helping clients to process these unprocessed emotions so that it can move out of the physical body?
Yeah, I think we have to. In the beginning, I was like, I'm a fixer. I just want to get this done. And now I've learned how much I need to honor the natural cycles of each person's journey, of each soul's
Mm.
progression on the earth. So I think at first, just creating the space of like, there's no rush. Like, I will be here as long as you need. And this is kind of, I say this to the person, but I more so say this to the body. Like, I am here, I'm holding you for as long as you need. If it takes weeks, if it takes months, there's no rush. But
Mm.
creating a space of safety and unconditional love for the body is probably something that it's never experienced in its life, and that's why it's never been able to let go. But that's always my first intention and my highest priority. Can I just create this space for this body, for this being to be exactly as they are? Can I accept them unconditionally in a way that they might have never been accepted in their entire life? And in that space of love, then the body is open and willing to accept acupuncture, which might open up meridians and help the body to somatically process things. Or it might accept sound healing, which is a healing frequency that then changes the vibration of the cells and modifies how they're acting physically. Maybe it's through visceral work of actually like moving organs or moving bones or helping a hip to shake out something really traumatic. Sometimes it's through herbal medicine, which really works on the physical and the emotional, especially when there's deficiencies in the system. Maybe it's just through diet and through adding some things in that could be really supportive or taking some things out that are a little bit hindering the body. So it's really customized to what each person needs, but we start with just the space to be.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm like, how can I work that into my work? Because I think it's really important to remove the expectation of like performance and results
Mhm, mhm.
but the human is going to want that. So
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
I'm imagining that you are setting that tension. That intention is between you and the body rather than
Mhm.
you and the human, because the human would be like, well, why would I be here?
Yes,
If,
yeah. I don't
yeah.
want to be exactly the way I am. But it's
Yeah.
so funny. I've actually, because I do a lot of psychosomatic and mental emotional work too, where we kind of find these as one of the in-depth trainings I did was with Peter Crone. So he works a lot with the mind and what he calls like our constraints or our internal stories that we have. So it's a practice of finding these stories, these predominant constraints that are in the mind that are kind of becoming the operating system for the way that we move in the world. And the way that our mind moves through the world is then reflected in how the body moves through the world.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting in that the first step in getting to those constraints is actually I have to accept everything as it is right now. So I don't tell someone that on like the first time that we're working together, but we do get there in session where I'm like, the
Mm.
portal to your freedom and your transformation will be accepting exactly where you are right now.
Mm. Hmm.
And the speed at which you move through that transformation is dependent on how quickly we can get to that acceptance phase.
Mm.
And when we get
Yes.
to that acceptance phase, it's like this massive liberation of energy where we have so much more to work with. So I've kind of gone in the other direction and kind of left acceptance till the end, but I find starting with it is like then we have 90% of the body's capacity to put towards healing or to put towards rewiring instead of just working with like 30 or 40%. Because if you think of that energy of resistance, it's like think of um, a car accident or a traffic jam on the road. There's like so much friction created in that lack of movement, that lack of flow. And these constraints in our mind work the same as that kind of constriction or restriction. There's so much energy then if you think of like drivers getting frustrated and angry, that's kind of like this extra friction and energy being created by that resistance. But if we just like open up that flow and allow it to move, like
Hmm.
there's so much more energy that then becomes available to use for something productive as opposed to something detrimental.
Mm. Love this analogy of the traffic jam. And really, like, as you know, I do a lot of work, subconscious reprogramming work as well. And I have found over years of doing it that um, simply working on the subconscious also isn't it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what you're talking about here. It's like there's a conversation we need to have about what is, accepting what is, where you are, what is true. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that has to be it has to be had and like heard before
Yes.
the subconscious will even allow the magic to take place, you know?
Yeah,
It's like a
exactly.
readiness.
And I think, yeah, 100%. It's a safety, it's a readiness. And I think we're entering a time where that veil between the conscious and subconscious is so much more thin that when you start working in the subconscious world, it kind of becomes like your default operating system of how you move through the world, which
Hmm.
things can happen more quickly, but then you're also prone to seeing and feeling a lot more.
And why do you think, why, it sounded like a prediction, my friend. Why do you think that we are getting to that place? Like what indicators are you seeing?
I think because people are taking the time to go inwards and do this kind of work, do this type
Mm,
of subconscious reprogram or deep exploration or looking back through their own patterns. I think also kind of like the network of mycelium in nature that just continues to spread and spread and spread. I think that's what's happening with our brains. I think that the separation between like the 95 and the 5%, I think that the 95% is coming is connecting to the conscious mycelium in a way that's making it more present in day-to-day
mm.
life.
Yeah,
I think
like
it's a
blurring
really
those
necessary
lines.
part. Yeah, I think it's a necessary part of human evolution. Like, I think the conscious mind is operating at the level of the ego, which is operating at the level of survival, which is ignoring love. It's
Mhm.
ignoring oneness, it's ignoring connection. And so, as collectively we move towards this like time of fourth density existence and living from the heart space, we have no choice but to uplevel our perception of the world out of a perception of survival into a space of safety and oneness and connection.
Mm, shit, that was quite the full picture that you just drew, and I see it, I hear it.
You feel it, you live it.
I feel it, I live it. Um, okay, I'm curious because I find this to be the case in my own work. Are there certain ailments that people come to you particularly more often, or ailments or constraints, blocks, or what is the common thread of your client that comes to you?
Hmm. It's interesting because I work contrary to what every marketing and business coach I've ever had has told me. I work in a very broad spectrum. And I work a lot with fertility and hormonal health. And I would say the common theme there is that women don't feel worthy of pouring into themselves or don't understand what it actually means to slow down and connect to their yin energy. Like slowing down doesn't mean numbing myself on my phone or binging Netflix. Slowing down means actually being incredibly present with everything that's
Mm,
happening and being okay with that. So, yeah, fertility and hormone wise, I think it's a lot of disconnection from worthiness of self, from what is the definition of yin, what is the the magic of the divine feminine. How
mhm,
I mean, it's just been so lost. It's been so, and we could get into that, but how squashed, how systemically squashed it's been because of how
mhm.
powerful it is.
I mean, it's certainly coming online, taking up more space,
Yeah,
um, which is maybe a part of the reason why a lot of your clients are coming forward to work through that, and
yeah,
fertility being the flag in that case. But gosh, there are
exactly.
endless flags.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and the idea of fertility is like another being that I can pour more into when essentially their cups are completely empty already from pouring in every other direction. And we've
mhm,
got these little very high frequency souls and beings coming online that are like, I am not coming into a world where you don't understand the importance of taking care of yourself first and putting on your own oxygen mask first,
mm.
which is such an interesting shift in, it's ironic we're moving towards this time of like more connection, more love, but the way we get there is actually by filling up our own cup first and putting on our own oxygen mask first, which doesn't really like logically make a lot of sense, but it's the only sustainable way of doing it.
It is it may not logically make sense, but it is a felt experience. Like when you
Yeah.
do that, the more you love yourself, the
Yep.
more you connect to love, period. The more you can love
Yeah,
others, the more capacity you have, the more ability to serve.
exactly.
Um,
And then it becomes authentic. It's like people can feel the energy of things when I'm doing something from a space of the action being separate from the energy that I have to complete that action.
mm,
And the energy, it doesn't lie. People that aren't trained in Reiki, that aren't body workers, like everyone is becoming such stronger energy readers in this time where we can feel like that wasn't genuine or that wasn't authentic to no fault of the person at all. But it's a time where we're being asked to be in such integrity and authenticity, and that takes filling ourselves up completely, nourishing ourselves completely first.
mhm. Interesting. So interesting that that is the common thread that's coming through in your work. And I see a lot of the time um, women who believe the needs of others are more important than their own,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
makes them people pleasers. It makes being their highly sensitive selves really painful and difficult. And it totally blocks intuition because if your needs are more important than mine, then whatever my intuitive voice has to say about my path, which is what my intuitive voice is going to talk to me about, like I'm not going to
mhm,
listen to that. Your needs are more important than mine,
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like a
yeah,
real, it's a catch-all, if you will.
yeah.
Hmm.
Isn't it interesting that we create these lives that are basically just built on like survival mechanisms? Like it's such a sick joke.
Yeah, and like, is the new earth, are the new souls that are coming through not doing that, not going to do that
They're not
anymore?
doing that. No,
I
they're
feel
not
like
here for
no.
that.
Yeah.
They come here, they get to, I mean, they'll have their things, I'm sure, but they'll keep this layer of authenticity that is so much richer than anything our generation got to experience. Like, I'm in my 30s now, just realizing what authenticity even is. Like, what does it mean? Who even am I? If I could go
Mm,
back, it's hard to tell. Like, it's hard to. I have this like incredible, beautiful life, and I love so many parts of it. But a lot of me has been reflecting lately of like how much of this came from being somebody that wants to fix things for other people, or is deeply attuned to what other people needs, or doesn't think that she can speak up, or thinks that she's only valuable if she's doing something for somebody else. So
mm.
there's a lot of beauty that can be created out of it, but it's still just an interesting reflection to see what was authentically created as my soul and what wasn't, and can I be brave enough to let go of the things that maybe actually aren't me and were just learned coping, survival conditioning.
Part of me is like, but also we are both human and divine. There's this part of me
Yeah,
that's like, and it, it is both and a little bit.
yeah,
And I talk a lot
100%.
about like how our desires, how to tell whether a desire is, soul or spirit led and ego led. And I paint the picture as though it's one or the other, but it's more like maybe it's like 80% spirit and 20% ego, and both and that's kind of part of being a human. And um, but I guess to your point, it's like the more that your soul takes up in your body and in your life, the less that you want to do the things that are like 90% ego, 80% ego.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think even if a desire is ego led, I think the achievement of that desire, the path to get there, brings you closer to your soul, brings you closer to being the truest, most authentic version of yourself, which is your soul. So I don't think we have to separate them. I don't think we're meant to get rid of one or the other. It's like, how can we let them dance together?
Well, and to know that, like, I don't know, I've certainly gone down paths that were 90% ego driven and forced, and
Hmm.
but like
Hmm.
that's how I learned. That's how I learned.
Yeah,
And that's how I
yeah,
had to learn. And that's probably how I signed up to learn. And
yeah.
now can help others. A question was coming up as you were talking about the life that you've built. Yes, this is what it is. So I've been wanting to talk to you about this ever since I moved to Greece, because I have like a deeper respect and understanding for what you did moving from Canada to Costa Rica. And, I know I asked the story then, but I feel like I have a different lens and perspective to hear it through now. So I would love to hear what called you to move to Nosara and how you found the bravery and strength to follow that call.
Yeah, I think at the time I almost didn't know why it was a desire. Like it truly dropped in one day. We had come to visit Nosara in 2018 or 2019. We did a whole trip of Costa Rica and we loved all of Costa Rica. And then we came here and we were like, wow, this place is super cool. And we ended up extending our trip here and canceling some other things. But at the time, it wasn't, let's move here or let's explore. Like it wasn't really on the radar at all. I don't even know if we had talked about living internationally ever. Um, but we got back to Canada, and I think it was like 4 or 5 months later, it just like dropped into my head one day. I was like, we should move to Costa Rica when I finish med school. And my husband was like, absolutely, we should. Like, he's a very nomadic, exploratory, adventurous guy. And so we had planned to move right when I graduated, which would have been end of 2020, early 2021. And then, as per the tyranny, we were not allowed on a plane for a little while. And so eventually, by the time we were allowed on a plane, we were so fed up with the state of things in Canada that it was, I think our mission had kind of shifted and we were just like, we need to get out of here. This doesn't feel aligned. We feel so isolated. We feel so ostracized. We had very different perspectives towards everything that was going on than anyone in our social group. We had some family that were on the same, you and I connected over this as well, but we just felt very alone. And yeah, by the time we could get out, we were like, we just have to get out of this place. And
So
so that,
that means you would have had years of waiting, like being ready to go
yeah,
and then have years of waiting and still following through. Like, do you understand? Like, that's some amazing perseverance. Like, I think if
yeah.
our plans had gotten nulled for 2 years, they probably wouldn't have picked back up.
But it almost intensified the desire in a different way. I think the initial desire, it had nothing to do with wanting to leave Canada. It was just like, that's a
I
cool
see.
option, let's go explore. But life in Canada was great. We weren't trying to run away from anything. Um, but then by the end of being prisoners there, essentially, we were the reason behind the desire felt like it had shifted, and we
Hmm.
wanted to get out more than ever. Um, and I think it was a little bit of this idealizing, like the grass is always greener on the other side and everything will be better. And I was working completely out of alignment. I was working 4 or 5 days a week at two different clinics. I was seeing like 40 to 50 patients a week,
Oh
eight,
my
anywhere from like,
gosh.
yeah, 8 to 15 patients a day, which I look back and I'm like, that poor, oh my goodness, that poor body. I would get home from work truly vibrating every day, like just shaking. I was white as a ghost at the end of every single shift. I was so drained. My weekends consisted of nothing except like laying on the couch and just trying to feel some semblance of human. So I was definitely living very out of alignment at the time. And I think I didn't know that that would shift so much moving down here, but it's all of these forces behind the scenes, that are kind of like pushing you towards what's going to be of the highest.
And how has it shifted? I mean, I'm sure in a million ways, but
Yeah, I
how's
feel
life
like we're
shifted?
so we're almost 3 years in now, and it finally feels like we are settled and solid. And I was also in my late 20s, early 30s. Like Saturn return is such a difficult time of life anyways, but when we first got down here, it really rocked us. well, me specifically, because I thought it was going to be the magic pill that fixed everything.
Mm.
And it was really beautiful and fun for the first little while. And then I was like, oh no, I am still the same person with
You
all of
take you
these,
with you. Yeah.
yes, all of these same beliefs. Turns out I am actually the problem, and that
Mm.
sucks. And so it was a lot of facing self, of becoming like super radically honest and super responsible for how I was creating everything, which was like really painful, to be honest.
Mm.
Painful and difficult and isolating at times. And then throw in like unfamiliarity, no way to really numb anything. You can't shop, you can't eat, you can't, I don't know. There's not a lot of technology, there's not a lot to do, there's nothing to do when the sun goes down. So it was like I just had to be, I didn't have a lot of friends here at first, so I just had to be here with me and sit with all of those things that I didn't even know I had been denying for so long. So
Mm.
the first little while was definitely difficult, although very beautiful, because I could be in nature all of the time. The pace of work slowed down immensely. Um, Financially, it's just a lot easier to, it just, portals opened and it seemed a lot easier to make more money with less work.
Mhm.
Um, so there was a lot of really beautiful things that happened, along with the difficult beginning. But now, 3 years in, we feel like our heads are like fully above water, like we're floating now. We're not just like struggling to get to the surface.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and what helped you through that time? Like, did you have tools that you relied on or support that you found, or was it all just being with and being present?
To be honest, at first, when we moved down here, we were on such a tight budget that I had to stop everything. Like, I used to lean heavily on um, courses and programs like Joe Dispenza and Peter Crone and even To Be Magnetic, and I had to cancel like all of my memberships and all of my support. And so it was just a lot of me with me. I wasn't able to even afford going to like yoga classes when we first got here. So I was doing yoga by myself. I couldn't go, I was a bodywork addict when I lived in Calgary. I couldn't do any of, like, I was getting like acupuncture, osteopath, massage, like probably 6 or 7 appointments a week in
Yeah.
Calgary. I couldn't do any of that. So the first 3 to 4 months was a lot of just being with self, like
Mm.
long walks, contemplation, and then community started to be a really powerful pillar. Just finding one or two girls that I could really connect with, um, and really start to feel comfortable being being the way that I was, like not trying to put on a front, not trying to have it all figured out, but being like, I thought I had it figured out. I thought I had my career. I thought I had, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, but it really, I mean, it's really created, solidified the wisdom that was always with you.
Yeah,
You've now
yeah,
just like fully embodied and integrated it. And now it's like medicine that you're feeding the world
yeah.
and us.
Yeah, and I mean, also seeing how these things can be free. Like I was tapping, I was jumping,
Mm.
I was audibly, vocally releasing, I was regulating myself with sunlight, I was grounding, I was eating whole foods, I was spending as little time as possible on screens. All of it was free. And I would say
Beautiful.
probably the biggest needle movers in my life have been free or like very affordable. There's never been, I have spent like single sessions like $500-600 with one single healer, and nothing has moved the needle as much as just like going for a walk and hugging a tree.
The simple things. Yeah, the simple
Yeah,
things.
and
The simple
it's
things,
so
the simple
accessible.
truths. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like we need to just talk about the energy of Calgary for a minute because, and not to hate on Calgary, I actually like Calgary. This is where we're from, for everyone listening, not from Calgary. Um, but it came up with a client this past week in a reading. It's coming up here. It certainly existed in my life. You know, is there an energy to Calgary that is like exploitive, that is like very Um, I mean, it's very much the rat race, but it's like the
Mhm.
rat race, not just in work. It feels like it's within everything. It's like excess almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's masculine dominated, not in male, but like masculine energy. It's very masculine energetically dominated, I would say, in
Yes.
the busyness, in the having to prove, in the going, always doing, whether it's even fun things. It's like, yeah,
Yes.
enjoyment is hiking up a mountain and then canoeing and then hiking again and then building your own house in the middle of the woods. Like that, is that fun?
Yeah, all of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really like you must do more, and
Hmm.
you're only doing less if you've burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting.
And
I
it's
just
very disconnected. It seems like people are just like, and they are just kind of like fighting for their lives on their own. It doesn't, there's a lot of competition, unconscious maybe competition. Um, it doesn't feel cohesive at all. It feels like there's a lot of separation.
I guess that's natural. Like if you are fighting for your life
Hmm.
uh, and burnt out and overworked, it's unlikely that you're going to have the capacity to connect.
Fully.
I
Yeah.
didn't.
And your
Oh my
nervous
gosh.
system goes, yeah, your nervous system goes into that state of survival, which is competition. It is like, I am trying to survive, so I have to gather resources and I can't look at what's going on around me. I have got to just have single focus.
hmm It's tough because I'm like, from a deep place, I really do believe that you create your reality
Hmm.
from within. Um, but I can't deny that there are certain energy, like if you aren't a match to the energy of the place that you're living, it's doable, but it's more challenging, I suppose, is a way of looking
Yeah.
at it. It's an added level.
No, I
Yeah,
think as a society, we did create the energy of Calgary. I don't think it came first.
right, right.
Hmm.
So
And then
now,
you and I just
like,
chose to start creating something different.
yes, and really create, like, the word create never used to really be in my field, but I feel like, I mean, I've only been here for 4+ months, but I've really created from scratch this life and
Hmm.
and completely in alignment. And I know that that word is like, we're tired of it. But what I mean by it is like, I feel into everything. I'm trying things out. I'm feeling into like what feels good, how much work feels good, what time, when, what kinds of things feel
Hmm.
fun to do. How do I feel like eating and moving and interacting with others? And none of it is dictated by expectations from others, people
Mm.
pleasing, things like that. I have that luxury being in a new place. It feels like such a gift to really just to
Yeah.
create. Um, and so I'd love to hear like what are some of the things that you really love about the life that you've created in Nosara?
I love never having to wake up to an alarm clock, but waking up to the birds or the sun or um, I love slow mornings. I don't really do anything before like 9. I usually wake up around 4:30 or 5 and I don't put anything on my calendar until like around 9. Um, I love our relationship with nature. Like it's just everywhere. Every window in our house is like bursting with green. Every path around our house, we go for walks and there's cows and there's horses and monkeys and being able to sit and watch nature so much. I love. Um, I love connecting. This place brings together a lot of like-minded people, a lot of entrepreneurs who are doing things in a different way. So I love absorbing and being
Mm,
exposed to doing life in such different ways and seeing people really break out of the mold and build incredible success and incredible happiness and incredible impact. So it's a very inspiring life, I would say, whether I'm inspired by nature or inspired by other people or inspired by kind of what we've done to be here.
Mm. And do you feel like you've deprogrammed or let loose of the programming around producing, performing, all that sort of stuff that we're experiencing back home?
Yeah, I think there's always layers. I think a big part of it I have, but I think as long as it exists in the collective, there will be parts of it, threads of it that exist in the individual.
Mm.
So still working. And as we were chatting before, trying to see where is the line between what I authentically do actually want to produce and my soul is driven and on purpose here to produce, and what is still remnants of that pressure to be doing or to producing. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is trying to really discern and get really granular in like, this needs to be authentic. This not needs to, but my hope is that it's completely authentic, completely soul driven from a place of true purpose and not external pressure. So yes, to a degree, released a lot of it, but still working a little bit.
Yeah. And I agree. It's like, I don't know what it would take to completely say goodbye to that because it exists so firmly
Yeah.
in the world, in the collective. And sometimes it'll be like just like a habit. Like I'll just push for a day and I'm like, whoa. Like, like
Yeah.
it was just like I blackout produced for a day and I was like,
Exactly. Yeah.
but now I have like pretty loud alarms that go off when I do that
Mm,
that are like, oops. And one of them is my physical body. I will get a headache. And I'm like, what? I
okay.
don't like, it's not like I've ever been a person who gets headaches, whatever. When I've
Yeah.
pushed too hard, I get a headache. And the other one is I won't get results. So I'll like,
Ah,
here's an example. The other day, don't ask me why. I sat down and I did for a whole day, I worked content and I put out like 8 pieces of content in one day between YouTube, Pinterest, emails, podcasts, whatever. I put out my 8 pieces of content, and by the end of the day, headache, all the things. And then I look at how the content performs, whatever, a couple of days later. Brutal. Performance was shit.
oh,
And and it was
not
such a
fair.
reminder of like, why'd you do that? And I was like, why
Yeah.
did I do that? And again, it's just like sometimes this like old habit kicks in. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not how we receive anymore. Like, we don't receive on the other
Exactly.
end of killing ourselves. That's not the story we live anymore. And it's true. I don't receive on the other
Yeah.
end of that.
Here's the proof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think in this time of, and as people that have spent a lot of time devoted to finding this alignment, it's like anything that is even a little bit out of alignment now is just too expensive. And life is going to let you know.
Expensive. I love this word.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it
So,
comes like drastically more, it becomes drastically more apparent than it used to, with like a huge headache to someone that never got headaches, or something crash like our my husband was in the same mode the other day, just working and producing, and the next day he was locked out of his Instagram for like 36 hours, and I'm like, see,
mm,
this is, the world is just not gonna, the universe is just not gonna allow this anymore.
and
It's
thank
not the
God,
way.
like literally, thank you,
Yeah.
God, because
Yeah.
sometimes habits, old habits die hard or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it's also important to discern, like, there's such individuality in it. I think there are some people here with a purpose of producing and here with the gifts to just do and to just produce. But I think
oh yeah.
that's like 1 or 2% of us. So
Oh yeah.
there are some people that do thrive in that, not because of there's any conditioning or any layers, or but that's genuinely their gift.
Totally. Yes. Yes. And I would, generally, folks who come to me have a similar storyline to me at some point along the way.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of the overproducing overachievers in the crowd. You know who you are?
Yep.
Um, so you said, you're playing in this fine balance of trying to discern things that you like actually want to do and create and things that you don't. Is there anything that you are creating that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I've recently transformed the way that I work with people, moving from just single sessions or kind of like a la carte into doing more intensives, like 8 or 12 weeks. And I have noticed such transformation in the results that we get and how effective things can be. I mean, Chinese medicine was never created as a quick fix. It does work very quickly and very powerfully in a lot of ways. Like pain can go from a 10 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10 in a matter of minutes, but it was created to be something gentle that creates sustainable, long lasting results when applied in a way that changes your whole lifestyle. And people can't
Mm.
change their lifestyle
Mm.
in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even 21 days. So I've started working with people more consistently, more intensively. So taking on less people, but for longer, more intensive periods. And that has felt so fulfilling and so rewarding. And then also working on, I'm going to say it, so it has to happen, but
Say
working
it.
on releasing a podcast. Um, is called the Before It Was Cool podcast. And I've just noticed that through my life, I have done a lot of things that I had a lot of shame around because they weren't socially acceptable at the time. And
Mm.
to 8 years later, it's like the coolest thing ever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm
For
just going to start
example?
talking and sharing. Um, Triathlons. Everyone is doing triathlons and marathons these days. So even like subconscious healing. Like I've been doing this stuff since like 2017. Was not cool when I was doing
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Reiki energy healing. I've been doing that for years. Wasn't cool. Even when I started Chinese medicine, it was still a little bit more. We don't know what that is. It's not as accepted. And now everyone has an acupuncturist or a TCMD.
Oh, they do?
And I think a lot
Oh.
of like, yeah, get on it, Angel.
I'm like, maybe in your fishbowl, but in my fishbowl, you the only one.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it's not in everyone yet, but it's definitely more mainstream. And so, yeah, it'll just be a space where I will have guest listeners on or guest speakers on, but just a lot of sharing of different insights that might be a little bit uncomfortable, might be a little bit out of the box,
Oh.
but they don't want to stay inside anymore, so they need a place to land.
Okay. That's huge. I mean, I think
Yeah.
sharing out of the box things can be scary. So
Yeah.
kudos to you and the bravery around that. And can't wait. Can't wait to hear Before It Was Cool. Before It Was Cool? Yeah, Before It Was Cool.
Yes.
And I have to say, because you and I, oh my gosh, I swear there are so many like little things about our lives that are the same that
Yeah.
I've noticed over the years that I see, And it's so funny that you say moving to more long-term clients because I also moved into that model when I moved here. I very, very quickly, the one-offs, I was like, I can't, like they were taking a lot more energy all of a
Yeah.
sudden. And it was
Yes. Yes.
because I wanted to create transformation in one 60-minute session. And that's
Yeah.
just not, no.
No.
And
It's
so I
unfair
switched.
expectations on you. It's unfair expectations on them. It's unfair expectations on like the laws of the universe.
Preach, sister. Yes. And like you said, I find not only is it so supportive to their journey and their transformation and what they need and what the what they're actually looking to do.
Hmm.
But also it's so supportive to me, to be honest. It allows me like
Yeah.
to be more creative because I'm working with the same energy every week. I recognize that energy and I know how to support it and evolve with
Hmm.
it. Oh, it's great. So
Yeah.
same.
It's such a powerful way to work. I love that you're doing that.
Amazing. I love that you're doing that. And you
Then
didn't share you recently launched a business. Yes.
I did, yes. A healing center here in Nosara. It's called The Well. It is an integrative, holistic healing space. Um, we have one part of it is all about IV infusions and peptide therapy, and then we have a branch of healing arts. So we've got Chinese medicine and Reiki and abdominal massage and sound healing and craniosacral and a lot of cool functional medicine modalities, some kind of up and coming things. The future of
Amazing.
medicine.
I did not realize it was peptides. In my head, I guess I just immediately assumed IV drips, like, you know, the Myers drip and the
Yeah, yeah.
things like this, and also peptides.
Yes, all of the above.
So interested. Have you
Yeah.
been on
Yeah,
much of
they're
a
really powerful.
peptide journey yourself at all, personally?
Yeah, I have experimented with some of them over the years. I did BPC 157 for gut health and for some injuries, and it was super, super powerful. I used ipamorelin for a little while, but it actually started to really disagree with my system. And then I love copper peptides for the skin and the gut. And another really good one, tyrosine alpha, after I went through this bout of sickness for a little while, it really helped to reset my immune system.
Wow, amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
these are
Yeah.
obviously coming in hot, and you were into them before they were cool, classically.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Classic.
but yeah, I'm so curious about it. Like, it does feel, I always get a little nervous about anything that smells like a quick fix, um,
Mhm.
because it's just feeding a narrative that is in our collective. But there's something about peptides that does feel like the future of health, and
Yes.
I don't know yet.
And I think it's the approach that we use them with. It's like you can come at it from a very quick fix. This is just going to be the magic bullet pill. Or you can come at it with, I'm going to integrate this into part of a holistic healing plan and also address the other things that need to be addressed, the mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual things. And I think in that context, they can be really powerful. But if we try to use it as a quick fix, it won't be any more sustainable or any more effective than anything else. And also,
Mhm.
we have to consider how is it affecting the homeostasis of the body? Like, it's not something we can use long term forever
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
we don't know the long term effects yet in terms of what if it shuts off the body's natural production, what happens in that downstream effect physiologically. So there's a time and a place for everything, but it has to be used very smartly, I think, under guidance within a holistic plan.
Mm. Holistic,
I love the
always the
idea of
key.
like it being, yeah, yeah, always. I love the idea of it being accessible, but I think guidance is important. I think context is important. I think you're powerful enough to be your own healer, but you don't have to do it all alone.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful last words. Okay. Okay, Lexi, I think I just loved the flow that this conversation took, and I learned so much from you. I can't wait to hear from you on your podcast. And just so I know, because I don't know, can folks work with you remotely if they're not in Nosara?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I do a lot of remote work.
Okay. Well, we will share that in the show notes because I'm certain that people are going to really resonate with your energy. Feels really good.
Thank you, Angel. That was so fun, and you're such a good space holder and conversation facilitator, and I just adore you.
I love you right back. Thank you. Thanks for coming on. And Spirit Club, until next time. Bye.